7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Welcome to the African History Network show. It is Thursday, March 10th, 2022, and we are live. Okay, so I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. We're also celebrating the 12th year anniversary of me broadcasting the African History Network show. I first broadcasted March 10th, 2010. So we'll talk a little bit about that today, but the big story today is Jussie Smollett was sentenced to 5 months in Cook County Jail. He was sentenced to 30 months of felony probation. The first 5 months is going to be spent in the Cook County Jail. Judge James Lynn had it in for Jussie Smollett today. I watched it live. I was watching it on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We share the broadcast live on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. You can go back and watch it there. You can watch it on Roland Martin on Facebook and YouTube. So the judge spent about 40 minutes admonishing Jussie Smollett, and then he lowered the boom on him, and none of the legal experts that I heard thought that he would actually do jail time. It's not like he killed somebody. It's not like he threatened to hang Mike Pence. He didn't beat up police officers or anything like that. So we're going to talk some about what happened today. Washington Post has a good article. Actor Jussie Smollett sentenced to 150 days in jail. Actor Jussie Smollett sentenced to 150 days in jail, thousands in fines for falsely reporting a hate crime. Now, I said before, seemed like Jussie Smollett was lying when he to the hate crime. Okay, it's like he staged it and orchestrated it, all of that. But still, that doesn't mean that he should do 150 days in Cook County Jail. All right. If he gets 30 months probation, I understand that. If he has to pay the restitution, he has to pay. He's fined $25,000. He also has to pay $126,000 in restitution for wasting the Chicago Police Department's time and doing the investigation. And he kept lying and lying. He went on Good Morning America, lied some more. Okay, that's understandable. If you fine him 30 months probation, okay, all right. But to sentence him to 5 months in jail. Now, yes, of course, this was a white judge who did this. And it seemed like he really had it in for Jussie Smollett. Now, I'm not really a Jussie Smollett fan, but I don't wish any harm on him. I'm not I hated the show Empire. I thought it was one of the most stereotypical shows on TV, and it would be on the Fox News network, which was owned by Rupert Murdoch. I mean, it would be on the Fox TV network, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and Rupert Murdoch also owns the Fox News network. But still, this shouldn't, he shouldn't be sentenced to 5 months in jail. I mean, it's not like he killed somebody. He ain't beat up anybody. He's the one that got beat up. It was a fake. I mean, he paid 2 guys to beat his behind, but it's not like he beat somebody up. So we're going to talk about this, break this down. Then the story, what was going to be our lead story today, dealing with Ryan Coogler. We'll talk about this as well. So Ryan Coogler, we found out, was detained by police. This is back in January 2021 in the Atlanta area. He went to an Atlanta area Bank of America to withdraw $12,000 out of his own bank account. And he, on the back of the deposit slip, it appears, he wrote on the deposit slip for the bank teller to count the money discreetly because he didn't want to draw attention to himself that he's getting $12,000 in cash, rightfully so. So the bank teller gets scared and calls the police The police show up. They put him in. They put Ron Coogler in handcuffs. They question because the dispatch call comes out and the police have to respond. The police get on the scene. They have to assess what's going on. So he gets detained, and they question him, and they talk to they go inside the bank and talk and find out it's a misunderstanding. But it's just stupid. It's just stupid. We'll talk about this. Now, Ron Coogler says that the whole incident has been rectified to his satisfaction. It happened back in June. It happened back in January 2022, I should say, not 2021. January 2022, it happened in January. We first found out about this from TMZ. TMZ got a hold of the police report. But it should not have happened in the first place, okay? So we'll talk about that on today's show as well. And then also, this is the 12th anniversary of me broadcasting the African History Network show. Started March 10th, 2020, March 10th, 2010. Started March 10th, 2010. The African History Network show. And started out on the Harambe Radio Network. Then we went to Blog Talk Radio Network, and I still have the Blog Talk Radio account. We still upload our audio podcasts to our Blog Talk Radio account, but I've been broadcasting here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. It'll be 6 years in April of 2022, but this is our 12th year anniversary broadcasting the African History Network show. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation and Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. All right, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App. $ the AHN show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay, we'll post the information here. Stand by to get ready for this next segment. How's everybody doing? Who still needs to register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays? Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. I teach that on Saturdays, and then Sundays it's from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Okay, stand by. Bathroom break in 3 minutes. Bathroom break in 2 minutes. Bathroom break in 1 minute.
The African History Network show, we deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, March 10th, 2022. This is the 12th year anniversary of me broadcasting the African History Network show. So thanks for supporting us for 12 years. Also, if you'd like to support the African History Network through help keep us on the air, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App. Then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, etc. Be sure to register for the online courses I teach as well on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And on Sundays, it's from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. I teach Saturdays and Sundays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do all the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. All right, we'll give you more information about that later. Okay, I want to jump into this first story. We're going to clip number 2. I have to send you clip number 1. We're going to clip number 2 here. So this is dealing with Jussie Smollett. Now, I came to the conclusion months ago Jussie Smollett was lying. He maintains his innocence. Whole thing doesn't make sense, but still he shouldn't be sentenced to 5 months in Cook County Jail. Washington Post has this piece here. Actor Jussie Smollett sentenced to 150 days in jail, thousands in fines for falsely reporting a hate crime, You remember it was 2 a.m. in the morning. It was below zero out in Chicago. I think it was below zero. And he's going to the subway and gets jumped by 2 guys. Just happened to be walking around with some bleach and a brand new noose. Okay. And he said they yelled, "This is MAGA country," and called them all types of racial slurs and homophobic names, things like this. But still, ain't like he killed somebody. He ain't beat anybody up. But that's not the way Cook County Judge James Lynn saw it today. So actor Jussie Smollett was sentenced Thursday, March 10th to 150 days in county jail for staging and falsely reporting to police that he was the victim of a hate crime in Chicago. The former Empire star, who's 39 years old, was found guilty on 5 of 6 charges of disorderly conduct in December 2021, nearly 3 years after the incident. Now, this is a level 4 felony. This is a very, very low level felony. Okay, and if you actually saw, Cook County Judge James Lynn, and I was watching your Dita Wode show today, making the case, and I know you did. I've interviewed her before when I used to guest host Roland Martin's nationally syndicated radio show. She's a brilliant attorney, also good legal analysis. She had 2 attorneys on her panel today. If you go back a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when Judge Regina Chu sentenced Kimberly Potter, okay, for killing Dante Wright, the judge today, James Lynn, gave a thrashing to Jussie Smollett. I mean, let's put it like this. Judge Regina Chu was more sympathetic to Officer Kimberly Potter, who killed somebody, than Judge James Lynn was today to Jussie Smollett. I mean, just if you just put like if you put on a bulletin board and you had a picture of Kimberly Potter and you had a picture of Jussie Smollett, and then underneath it you had the caption, okay, this person killed somebody, this person staged a hate crime. And then you said, okay, the response from this judge is to chastise them for 40 minutes. The response from this judge is to be almost tearful and say, put yourself in the shoes of the police officer that killed somebody, right? You would think Jussie Smollett was the one that killed somebody. I mean, just the way the judge carried on today. Let's go to clip number 2. This is from NBC News Now. Shakita, let's go to this clip.
Not suicide. I am innocent. I'm sentencing you to 30 months felony probation, and the probation is going to be to this court. You're going to be allowed to travel wherever you want. You do not have to live in the state of Illinois. You can report by phone. I know that if you're going to try to make a living and do some of the things you do, you may have to go to other places, New York and Los Angeles. You can do those things. You will pay restitution to the city of Chicago in the amount of $120,106. You are fined $25,000, which is the maximum fine, and you will spend the first 150 days of your sentence in the Cook County Jail, and that will start today, right here, right now.
Hey, Shakita.
Smollett.
Stop that. Is that the clip that says number 2, or is that the clip that says number 3? I want the clip that says number 2. Clip that says number 2 is actor Jussie Smollett gets 150 days in jail. Clip number 2 from NBC News Now. Okay, while we cue that up.
Cook County courtroom, Jussie Smollett was remanded into custody. He has been sentenced to 30 months probation, which will include 150 days, which he will have to spend behind bars here at the Cook County Jail. He was just taken into custody. He was screaming as he was escorted out of the courtroom, "I am not suicidal," and continuing to proclaim his innocence. He will also have to pay over $120,000 in restitution. He faces a $25,000 fine. And again, he is now going to be spending the night, as of now, behind bars in a Cook County jail. We want to show you now what has unfolded over the last several hours here today.
Court in session.
In court today, prosecutors sharing a letter from the city of Chicago and its police department speaking to the damage Smollett has done.
A cost that can never be measured. It's a harm caused by reducing the likelihood of actual victims of hate crimes willing to report these crimes.
The city also claiming Smollett's hoax cost police more than $130,000 in overtime to chase down a threat that didn't exist. Today's sentencing, the latest chapter of a bizarre, years-long legal saga. In 2019, Smollett claimed 2 masked men hurled racial and homophobic slurs at him, threw chemicals at the Empire Star, and tied a noose around his neck. There were doubts the incident was legitimate, but he spoke out about the alleged attack.
If I had said it was a Muslim or a Mexican or someone black, I feel like the doubters would have supported me a lot.
Soon after, Chicago police announced Smollett staged the whole thing with 2 associates.
Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations?
His associates, the Osundairo brothers, testified against the actor, saying Smollett paid them to attack him outside his Chicago home. Smollett testified there was no hoax, but a jury convicted him. Smollett's defense submitted over 80 letters in support of leniency. Today, his older brother and 92-year-old grandmother speaking directly to the judge.
Jussie does not have malice or hatred toward anyone, and it is truly unfortunate that his reputation has received so many negative connotations.
I ask you, the judge, not to send him to prison. If you do, send me along with him.
Jesse Kurtz back with us live from Chicago. Jesse, you mentioned that there was an outburst from Smollett as he was led away. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I want to read to you his final words as he was escorted out of the courtroom by the justice officials. I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal, and I am innocent. I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago. And this is significant, Gabe, for multiple reasons. First off, earlier in the proceeding, Smollett was asked directly by the judge if he wanted to say anything. Smollett's legal team had said he was not going to make any comments alluding to the possibility of an appeal, and Smollett declined to speak earlier. And also, the judge, as well as the prosecution, had been pointing out that because Smollett has been convicted, he essentially perjured himself when he testified in court, saying that there was no hoax. And again, Smollett's final words as he was escorted out of the courtroom, convicted and now sentenced to time behind bars, were that he was still innocent. Gabe?
And Jesse, we're
All
being
right,
told that we now have part of that outburst.
Pause it right there. Just back it up about 30 seconds or so. We'll pick this up on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation Future Radio. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by, everybody. All right, you can still register for the online class I teach on Saturdays and Sundays, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Stand by. Back from break in 2 minutes.
Nine ten, the Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, March 10th, 2022, and this is our 12th year anniversary. First broadcast of the African History Network show on March 10th, 2010. So it's been 12 years. Thanks for all the support and all the guests we've had. I've broadcasted over 1,000 episodes of the African History Network show. And we have those episodes archived at our website. They're on Blog Talk Radio, our Blog Talk Radio page, actually. So you can go to blogtalkradio.com/TheAHNShow, blogtalkradio.com/TheAHNShow. Actually, it's the African History Network show on Blog Talk. But also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Scroll down the page, you'll see the information for the radio show. We're 6 days a week. And click right here, listen to the podcast. It takes you to our Blog Talk Radio page. All right, and we have shows going back to 2010. Okay, I want to go back to this story here dealing with Jussie Smollett. And also the call-in number is 313-778-7600 if you have a question or comment. We'll talk some more about this on our Sunday show, because I'm on for 3 hours on Sunday. You know, we're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. But on Sundays, we're on 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I've been here on 9-10 a.m. the Superstation for 6 years, and I've been doing the African History Network show in total for 12 years. All right, I want to go back to this clip. Shakita, let's go. This is from NBC News Now, talking about what happened in court today. Let's go back to this clip, please.
Convicted, he essentially perjured himself when he testified in court, saying that there was no hoax. And again, Smollett's final words as he was escorted out of the courtroom, convicted and now sentenced to time behind bars, were that he was still innocent. Gabe?
And Jesse, I'm being told that we now have part of that outburst. Let's play it.
So I was just like, I am not suicidal. That's what I was like. Okay. I am not suicidal. Okay. I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fear of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years, and the fears of the LGBT community. Your Honor, I respect you, and I respect the jury, but I cannot do this.
And Jesse, we just heard from Smollett right there just moments ago, the breaking news. Has there been any reaction from his family at this point?
We do expect to hear from his defense attorney outside of the courtroom. Now the proceedings are wrapping up, and you could tell as we were watching things unfolding there in the courtroom, Gabe, that his defense team was trying to get the judge to allow that jail time to be suspended for the time being. But Smollett was taken out of the courtroom by those involved with the courts here. So we're going to look for more reaction from his family. But we know that his family, his supporters, have been pleading for leniency, pleading for the judge to not sentence him to any time behind bars, but the judge clearly took that into consideration as well as other factors and came up with what he decided was the proper sentence.
Okay. I'm going to go to clip 3 here in just a second, Shakita. So it was crazy what happened in court today. Once again, whether you think he's guilty or not, whether you think he staged the hoax or not, it's not the point. And I think he did stage the hoax, by the way. I've talked about this before. But that doesn't fit the actual sentence. Him staging the hoax, and he's been convicted in court, so I can say it. I mean, it just makes sense if you actually just add all this stuff up. But the sentence does not fit the crime. Sentence does not fit the crime at all. So this seems like something personal that the judge had. And then the other thing is, we'll get into this deeper on our Sunday show. And Yodit Tawode talked about this on her panel today on the Black News Channel, on making the case with Yodit Tawode. You had the Fraternal Order Police, the police union. You had them who were furious with Jussie Smollett. You had the police department, Chicago Police Department was furious because he kept going with this hate crime allegation. He goes on Good Morning America, does an interview goes viral. So you have all this going on. And it seemed like this verdict, this sentencing was payback to Jussie Smollett. Also, it's important to note that Kim Foxx, the Cook County attorney, Kim Foxx had dropped the charges, and Jussie Smollett was going to do community service. Okay, so then a special prosecutor was brought in. They bring charges against Jussie Smollett, and you know, this is just crazy. So if we go look at the article here from, we're going to clip 3 in just a second, Shakita. If we look at the article here from Washington Post, Cook County Judge James Lynn, white male judge. You can listen to them. You can listen to him until he has some contempt for Jussie Smollett. Also, he also sentenced Jussie Smollett to 30 months of felony probation and ordered him to pay $120,106 in restitution to the city of Chicago, $120,106 in restitution to the city of Chicago, as well as a fine of $25,000. While on probation, Judge James Lynn said Jussie Smollett will be allowed to travel outside of Illinois due to the nature of his job. Smollett, who declined to speak before receiving his sentence, loudly repeated after the fact that he was not suicidal and warned that if anything happens to him in jail, it was not self-inflicted. Now, Cook County Jail has a reputation for having really dangerous conditions, tough conditions. And it appears that he wanted to get a message out to everybody that if he ends up dead in jail, and the report is, oh, he committed suicide, he's letting people know right now, I'm not suicidal. If something happens to me, it's not self-inflicted. Now, he repeated he was not suicidal while walking out of the courtroom with his fist raised and maintained his innocence in the case. Okay, he says something to the effect of if he's lying, that means he stuck his fist in the face of 400 years of oppression of African Americans, things like this, right? So here's what happened. He concocted a hate crime, it appears, to try to get more money per episode for being on the Empire TV show, because he was getting something like $30,000 per episode. He wanted more money. Okay, so he concocts this hate crime. He brings in Trump supporters when he alleged that one of the assailants said this is MAGA country, referring to Make America Great Again. This was during a period of time when Donald Trump was in office. So it enraged a lot of African Americans. You had a hate crime. You had this alleged hate crime. You have it possibly being Trump supporters who did it. Okay, is somebody, Jussie Smollett, who's on Empire. Then his celebrity friends come out in support of him, like Lee Daniels, who was executive producer of Empire, all this stuff. Okay, preying on the emotions and sympathy and goodwill of many African Americans. This is what happened. But all that being said, 150 days in jail does not, this is a level 4 felony. This is a low level felony. He didn't, if he had shot somebody, well, okay. He didn't shoot anybody. He didn't beat anybody up. If you want to pay restitution to the city of Chicago, okay, that's understandable. But this right here, this is just vindictive. This is, to me, it reminds me of a high-tech lynching. I'm not a fan of Clarence Thomas, but this was like a high-tech lynching we saw today. While delivering the sentence, Cook County Judge James Lynn noted that, quote, this case received as much attention and was gone over every little bit with a fine-tooth comb as any case I've ever seen before, end quote. He likened the number of pretrial motions filed to that seen with death penalty cases. We're going to continue this on the other side of the break. We're going to let you hear some more of what happened in court today, in Jussie Smollett's parting words to the judge and to the world. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about this strange case out of Atlanta with Ryan Coogler. Now, a lot of strange things happen in Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta many times. This right here, he gets detained. The police get called on Ryan Coogler, director of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and he's trying to withdraw $12,000 out of his own bank account, and the police get called. Okay, so this is at Bank of America. You listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. There will be a welcome rally in Louisville this weekend. What type of rally? WLM, a welcome rally. All right, stand by. Pam says she would have taken all her money out that bank too. All right, back from break in 3 minutes. Okay, who still needs to register for the online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays? Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We're going to post a link here. As soon as you register, you can watch the class we just did this past weekend. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. So there's bonus content that you can watch there also. Back from break in 2 minutes. Stand by. Okay, we got Pam, we have Buccaneer, we have Daniel, Fly Girl, Cedric. Okay. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, March 10th, 2022. This is our 12th year anniversary of me broadcasting the African History Network show. First broadcasted on March 10th, 2010. I was on the Harambe Radio Network when we started out. Then I went to Blog Talk Radio and kept doing Thursday nights, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday nights, the African History Network show. Then moved to the Empowerment Radio Network, Dave Anderson, the Empowerment Radio Network, and Warren Ballantyne and Bev Smith from BET. And Rashad Ritchie, and we had Professor Griff on the network for a while also. Then Roland Martin came to the network, and I started guest hosting for Roland Martin, and I was guest hosting for Warren Ballentine for about 3 months, and then Warren left the network. Then Roland Martin came on, and that's how I connected with Roland back in about 2015. And I started guest hosting for Roland's show numerous times, and then when Roland left the network, he went to the Perry Broadcasting System. I said, Roland, look, even though you left the network, I can still guest host from you. I have the equipment. I broadcast from home, so I have the equipment here, so I can still guest host for you. So I kept doing that. And then in 2016, I started 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF with Steve Hood, who passed away last year. My friend Steve Hood started out on his morning show, and then got my show in April of 2016. And been doing the African History Network show here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation. It'll be 6 years in April of this year, and 12 years total going back to March 10th, 2010. So thanks for all the support. Appreciate that. Let's go back to this clip here. So I want to go to clip 3, Shakita. So Jussie Smollett, he had some parting words for everybody today and for the judge. Let's go to clip 3, see what happened in court today.
I am innocent. I'm sentencing you to 30 months felony probation, and the probation is going to be to this court. You're going to be allowed to travel wherever you want. You do not have to live in the state of Illinois. You can report by phone. I know that if you're going to try to make a living and do some of the things you do, you may have to go to other places in New York and Los Angeles. You can do those things. You will pay restitution to the city of Chicago in the amount of $120,106. You are fined $25,000, which is the maximum fine. And you will spend the first 150 days of your sentence in the Cook County Jail. And that will start today, right here, right now. Mr. Smollett, so the jury found you guilty, and I sentence you as I have. You have the right to appeal the findings and rulings of court, or ask your sentence to be modified. To do those things, you need to file a notice of appeal in writing within 30 days. You may also file a motion to modify your sentence, which would have to be filed in writing within 30 days. Anything not stated in those filings are waived for purposes of appeal. We cannot afford lawyers or transcripts. They would be provided free of charge. Do you have any questions?
I would just like to say, Your Honor, that I am not suicidal. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I am not suicidal.
Okay.
I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuffed my fist in the fear of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years, and the fear of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you, and I respect the jury, but I did not do this, and I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself, and you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I'm not suicidal. Okay.
All right. So that happened in court. That was at the end there. So now on the Tom Joyner Morning Show, they used to do what they call bits, right? They have skits, things like this, right? And they used to have what they call going with the bit. Going with the bit means you've been caught, but you still gonna stick with the lie. You just gonna keep going with it. And you're just gonna go with the bit. You're just gonna play your role, go with the bit. Okay, so a lot of people think that's what happened at the end. Yeah, okay, you can say you're not suicidal. We believe you on that. But when you say, okay, if you lied, then that means you stuck your fist in the face in the fear of Black America for 400 years, all this stuff. Come on, man. All right. You still going with the bit. Okay. All right. The jig is up. Okay. So we'll talk about this more on Sunday's show. Hopefully they can get his sentence reduced. He should not go to jail at all for this. I mean, he's doing 5 months in Cook County Jail. Kim Potter is doing 2 years minus 60 days for killing Dante Wright. Doesn't make sense. But something else that doesn't make sense is what happened with Ryan Coogler in Atlanta. I just sent you clip number 4, Shakita. Let's go to clip number 4. Let's go to this quickly. This is what happened to Ryan Coogler. Okay, we'll get that queued up. So Essence.com has this good article. We posted an article from Essence, as African-American owned and operated. Also,
this next story has been online all day. A major Hollywood director handcuffed and mistaken for a bank robber, according to a police report. We're talking about Black Panther director Ryan Coogler. The filmmaker was questioned by police in Atlanta back in January after he tried to withdraw his money from a Bank of America. The report says bank employees thought the 35-year-old, who was wearing a face mask and glasses, was staging a robbery because he handed a note to a teller asking for at least $10,000 from his account. Here's a look at that police report. You see it highlighted. It says police, quote, determined that Mr. Coogler did pass a written, filled out withdrawal slip with a note written on the back of the withdrawal slip to be discreet when handing him the cash. Our Blaine Alexander is joining us now from Atlanta. Blaine, this is a crazy story. The director confirmed the incident to Variety, saying that this should be a situation that should never have happened. So how did all this unfold? Well, Steph, remember, all of this happened back in January. Of course, Coogler has been spending a lot of time in Atlanta recently. He's here filming the sequel to Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So all of this started, according to the police report, when he went into a Buckhead branch of Bank of America with 2 people who were waiting in a black SUV in the parking lot for him to go inside. Now, according to the police report, essentially, like you said, he filled out the withdrawal slip, asked for an amount higher than $10,000, and he handed it to the bank teller. But on the back, he had scribbled a note essentially saying, listen, please be discreet. Don't count the cash in public because of the high amount. We also understand, according to surveillance video, that he was wearing a COVID-19 mask. He was wearing sunglasses and a hat. Well, when the teller went to withdraw that amount, apparently it triggered some sort of alert on his account. This is according to the police report. And that made her notify her supervisor, essentially to say that there was a robbery in progress, and they called 911. So, you know, Blaine, there's an alert that you can't take out that much money, and then there's trying to rob a bank. It seems to me there's a lot of room in between those things. Is that part of this discussion right now? You know, I think it is. You know, the police report goes on to say that when officers arrived, they went up to the 2 people who were in the SUV. They were like, hey, you know what? We're here with Ryan Coogler. He's a very big name Hollywood director, of course, Oscar-nominated film movie maker. They went inside. The 2 people in the SUV were never handcuffed. Coogler was, though. He was put in the handcuffs. He was escorted out of the building. At some point, according to the report, the officers realized the mistake. They apologized to him, explained what happened. But according to the report, he asked for all the officers' names, their badge numbers. Now, remember, this happened back in January, so certainly some time between when we're all finding out about this and when the incident happened.
All right, pause it right there.
News, Ryan Coogler.
Pause it right there, Shakita. Okay, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. The African History Network on Facebook, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. We're going to go for a few more minutes and finish this out. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. And you can support us, $ TheAHNShow through Cash App and through PayPal as well. I'll be on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, so watch me there. And we'll talk to you Sunday. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Talk to you next time. Peace. Okay, stand by. All right, let me cue this clip back up. Hold on. Let's go back to this story here. New York Times has a good piece on this also. Let's dealing with Ryan Coogler. Let's look at the one from Essence. From Essence magazine, Ryan Coogler detained at Atlanta bank after attempting to withdraw $12,000 from bank account. Okay, and let's go to this here.
Actually saying, listen, please be discreet. Don't count the cash. And he handed it to the bank teller. But on the back. Now, according to the police report, essentially, like you said, he filled out the withdrawal slip, asked for an amount higher than $10,000, and he handed it to the bank teller. But on the back, he had scribbled a note essentially saying, listen, please be discreet. Don't count the cash in public because of the high amount. We also understand, according to surveillance video, that he was wearing a COVID-19 mask. He was wearing sunglasses and a hat. Well, when the teller went to withdraw that amount, apparently it triggered some sort of alert on his account. This is according to the police report. And that made her notify her supervisor, essentially to say that there was a robbery in progress, and they called 911. Steph.
You know, Blaine, there's an alert that you can't take out that much money, and then there's trying to rob a bank. It seems to me there's a lot of room in between those things. Is that part of this discussion right now?
You know, I think it is. You know, the police report goes on to say that when officers arrived, they went up to the two people who were in the SUV. They were like, hey, you know what? We're here with Ryan Coogler. He's a very big name Hollywood director, of course, Oscar nominated film movie maker. They went inside. The two people in the SUV were never handcuffed. Coogler was, though. He was put into handcuffs. He was escorted out of the building. At some point, according to the report, the officers realized the mistake. They apologized to him, explained what happened. But according to the report, he asked for all the officers' names, their badge numbers. Now, remember, this happened back in January. So certainly some time between when we're all finding out about this and when the incident happened. In a statement to NBC News, Ryan Coogler essentially said, yes, this is something that should have never happened. But Bank of America apologized. They rectified the situation to his satisfaction. And essentially, they've moved on. Bank of America was also apologetic, saying that this is something that should have never happened. So,
Blaine, did Ryan Coogler himself say he believed in some way this was because of the color of his skin?
He did not say that in the statement. You know, he was very brief in what he said. He basically said that you know, it shouldn't have happened, but that they've moved on. I will say that according to the police report, according to the officer who filled out the report, the teller herself was a black person, a black woman who filled out the police report. But as this is making its way on social media, of course, the comparisons can't help but be made and questions about perhaps the motivation behind this and why something like this happened. But Coogler himself did not make that reference. Steph.
All right. Thanks, Blaine Alexander, for walking us through it. We appreciate it.
Okay, so great reporting there from NBC News Now and Gwen Alexander, who was there in the Atlanta area also. So crazy story. You know, if we look at this quickly here from Essence.com, Essence is African American owned and operated. Well, he's African. It's the same to me, but anyway, he's from Liberia. If I remember correctly, the brother that owns it is Liberian, but we're all African people, so I don't get caught up in all these distinctions. But anyway, Ryan Coogler detained at Atlanta Bank after attempting to withdraw $12,000 from his account. So he was trying to withdraw $12,000 from his own bank account. All right, and you know, so I had to go through and look at some details in this, you know, before I started talking about this. A misunderstanding at an Atlanta bank branch found the director and two of his associates in, well, apparently, according to Gwen Alexander, the other two weren't handcuffed. He was handcuffed. So Ryan Coogler was placed in handcuffs earlier this year in January 2021. After what should have been an innocuous trip to his local bank branch. Now, TMZ was I think they were the first ones to break this story. TMZ obtained a police report detailing a January 2022 incident in which Black Panther and Creed franchise director Ryan Coogler was mistaken for a bank robber. Coogler stopped by an Atlanta area bank branch wearing dark shades and a face mask. When it was his turn, he handed the teller his withdrawal slip with a note of additional instructions written on the back. When it He said, the note said, I would like to withdraw $12,000 cash from my checking account. Please do the money count somewhere else. I'd like to be discreet. Now, he also gave the teller his driver's license and his bank debit card as well, which has his name on it. Okay. So it's not like he just gave the note. It's not like he just gave the withdrawal slip with a message written on the back. He gave his driver's license and he gave his bank debit card. I listened to the I listened to the audio of the call that the bank employee made to the police. Okay, and she's talking to the dispatcher. In that call, the bank employee said she did not look at the name that was on the driver's license. She said he gave her ID, gave her his ID, and gave his bank debit card, but she said she did not look at the name that was on the driver's license, which, you know, just being that I've never worked at a bank before, but I've managed retail establishments before. I worked in retail, and you go through a verification process. And I've managing other companies. We had good relationships with banks, actually Bank of America for that matter, Bank of America in downtown Detroit. There's a verification process. You look at the driver's license, you look at the name, you look at the picture, you match them up. Now, he had on a COVID-19 mask. This was in January. Okay. Makes sense he has on a COVID-19 mask. So you ask the person, especially for that amount of money, you look at the driver's license, you ask them, could you take down your mask for a minute so I can just verify the picture, things like this. Also, they want you to take down the mask so the camera can get a good picture of you as well, with cameras recording. And in a lot of banks, like I remember, what is that? Was that National Bank? They would have signs inside on the counter that told you to remove sunglasses, remove hats, things like this, so the camera could like actually record you and get a good picture of your face when it records. So if she went through that verification, that's understandable. But now I don't know how long the bank employee has been on the job. I don't know if she was still in training. I don't know if she had ever been through a bank robbery in the past, what have you. But there's just basic verification, basic steps in verification that it appears that she did not do. One simple thing is looking at the name that's on the driver's license that was given to her. Okay, that doesn't make sense at all. So I want to go to this clip here quickly. This is the you're going to hear the conversation outside of the bank between Ryan Coogler and the officers. You're going to hear some of what happened here. Okay, so he's sitting in the car, halfway in the car. They have the door open. The police, from everything that I saw, the police, handled this pretty well. They were cool. They're trying to assess what's going on. They get a dispatch, they get a call, so they have to respond to the call. When they get there, they're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? Okay, we gotta. I want you to hear what happened.
Did the officers explain what's going on while we're out here?
Not really, man.
All right, so we got a call basically.
I heard somebody ask me about passing no.
Yeah.
This might be one of these jokes.
So basically, we got a call, and from what we got the call, it seemed like someone was trying to rob the bank. Something about you passing a note to the teller, something to that effect. Can you just tell me what's going on?
Yeah, bro. It's a medical assistant that works in my house that prefers you pay in cash. Every time I make a withdrawal to pay her, because it's a large amount, she works a lot.
Yeah.
If I don't write down on a note how much I went out, and then I don't want it ran through the money counter right there at the desk. The whole bank ends up looking at it. They just bring money, going to the money to the account. Okay, so this the.
Okay, so what he's saying is he has his mask on when he's talking. Okay, he's out in the car, halfway in the car. He's explaining because he doesn't know what's going on. He's like, why the police here, things like this. Police are trying to figure out what's going on. So he tells them he has a medical assistant at his house, and he's going to pay the medical assistant, and he wants the bank teller to count the money discreetly, not put the money through it's $12,000, so not put the money through the through the bank counter, because then people around, customers around to see it. He's walking out with $12,000 in cash, so he doesn't want to draw attention to himself. Okay, unlike so this is the difference between like somebody that I don't know how much, I don't know his net worth, but this is the difference between somebody who like has wealth and like people like rappers money that want to draw all this attention to themselves. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself. Okay, he doesn't want to deal with any of that. I don't know his net worth, but that's people that have like some real money, they don't want to draw attention to themselves. Okay, so this is him sitting and he's trying to figure out what's going on. He's like, look, so the bank teller, so the police are trying to figure this out also. Okay, and they're explaining it to him after they figure, look, he's trying to withdraw money from his own bank account. Okay, they let him go. He gets their badge numbers, which he has a right to do. And he released a statement later after this became public. He released a statement saying that the whole incident has been rectified to his satisfaction. So he's not saying anything else about this. I want to go back to this so you can hear what happened between the police and Ryan Coogler.
If I don't write down on a note how much I went out, and then I don't want it ran through the money counter right there at the desk, the whole bank ends up looking at it. Because they just bring money, going through the money to the account. Okay, so this is the thing. The teller, she started to freak out. So she didn't even match that account with his ID that she gave him. So I need to double check to see if that's even the account, his account. You see what I'm saying? Because if that is his account, then what is he doing that wrong? You see what I'm saying? It's the note beside the note.
So here's a black police officer outside. He said the teller didn't even match up his name on the ID with the account.
It's a medical emergency. I'll make a withdrawal.
Let me go back to the count.
Write down on a note and ran through the money counter right there at the desk. The whole bank ends up looking at it because they just bring money, going through the money to the account. Okay, so this is the thing. The teller, she started to freak out. So she didn't even match the account with his ID that she gave him. So I need to double check to see if that's even the account, his account. You see what I'm saying? Because if that is his account, then what is he doing that wrong? You see what I'm saying? It's the note beside the note. So I don't know. Give his ID.
We just while they're getting you guys out of handcuffs,
so they letting them go.
I stated to the officers that arrested me that had their Glocks out.
Yeah.
That I was pulling money out of my own account.
I understand.
I put my own bank card in there before they let you in the back. You know what I'm saying?
So we have to confirm that. You gotta understand. We don't come out because of the seriousness of the call. We don't just come out, and unfortunately, in a situation like that, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. We detain and then we ask questions later. That's exactly what I went inside for. You can take them out. The other people.
Okay, so there's a statement here from, and I think it's in the article also. Bank of America said this situation. Let me pull this up here. So Bank of America has a statement here. This situation, let me see if we can blow this up. This situation should never have happened. You got that right. However, Bank of America worked with me. This is Ryan Coogler who put this statement out. This situation should have never happened. However, Bank of America worked with me and addressed it to my satisfaction, and we have moved on, Ryan Coogler said in a statement. All right. But this is just crazy. I mean, and I don't know what type of training they have at Bank of America, but it's like, okay, if somebody black wants to withdraw $12,000 from their bank account, okay, don't freak out. All right. If a black man wearing a sweatshirt and sunglasses and a COVID-19 mask wants to withdraw $12,000, okay, don't freak out. All right. So luckily, a police officer who showed up wasn't an officer like Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis. Luckily, you had level-headed police officers who are trying to figure out what's going on that showed up. Okay. Luckily, you didn't have police officers like Derek Chauvin that showed up. Or Kimberly Potter. Okay. Who killed Dante Wright. So let me go back to this from Essence. Let's see here. Let's do it like this. Let's pull this one up from Essence here. So we have this open up in this second screen. Okay, though the transaction was perfectly legal, the teller detailed in the report as a then pregnant black woman, received some sort of alert on her screen when attempting the transaction. She made an assumption that something strange was going on, presumably due in part to Ryan Coogler's covered up appearance and his handing her a handwritten note. She reported the incident and the police were contacted in relation to a possible bank robbery in progress. Okay, when cops arrived, they immediately detained two of Coogler's associates who were waiting for him in the black SUV parked in the parking lot. Coogler himself was detained. Okay. Fortunately, after investigating the incident, police found that no illegal activity had taken place and that a mistake had been made on the bank's behalf. You think? Ryan Coogler has been in Atlanta for several months, completing principal photography for Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. I'll be at the premiere. Okay, I forgot the exact date. I've seen some dates of it, but I'll be at the premiere here in Detroit. I'm going to see that. I've been waiting for this Black Panther 2. Now, it is of note that Atlanta has experienced a severe spike in violent crime over the last year, which very well may have triggered Ryan Coogler's desire for discretion during his transaction. Once again, it's like the people that want you to think they have money really don't have money. They're the ones that are trying to draw attention to themselves. Brian Coogler did not want to draw any attention to himself withdrawing $12,000 in cash. For their part, Bank of America has made things right with Ryan Coogler after this unfortunate incident. A representative for Bank of America shared a statement with Variety magazine. Quote, "We deeply regret that this incident occurred. It never should have happened, and we have apologized to Mr. Coogler." Ryan Coogler shared his own statement. Ryan Coogler shared his own statement, his own separate statement to TMZ. This situation should have never happened. However, Bank of America worked with me and addressed it to my satisfaction, and we have moved on. Okay, so hopefully, the pregnant teller, hopefully they'll get her some more training or something. Because that's not how you handle that. There's a process you go through to verify. And so all right. Okay. Everybody share this broadcasting and social media platforms. Also, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. And we have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can still register for the online class I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. On Saturdays is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. All right. And I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, and we take you throughout history. We deal with, we look at archaeological discoveries as well, recent archaeological discoveries that have taken place in the past, within about the past 10, 15 years or so. And we go throughout history to understand what happened to us. We look at ancient Africa, the Nile Valley region of Africa, ancient Kemet, Ta-Nehisi, Nubia, Abyssinia, Ethiopia. We look at Ghana, Songhai, Mali. We look at Great Zimbabwe, Carthage, things like this. We look at the African presence dating back at least 51,700 years ago in the land we call the United States of America in Allendale County, South Carolina. Dr. David Imhotep's book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, deals with a lot of this. And then we go through our history. We look at the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. We look at different African civilizations. We look at in different African nations, African tribes. We look at the Khoisan, who have the oldest DNA on the planet. They were here in this land we call the United States of America. They were in Allendale County, South Carolina. They were all throughout that area. And this is the evidence that Dr. Albert Goodyear found in his discovery in 2004. Now, this article from ScienceDaily.com from November 18, 2004 lays this out. Here's a summary of the article. The name of the article is called New Evidence Puts Man in North America 50,000 Years Ago from November 18, 2004. Radiocarbon tests of carbonized plant remains where artifacts were unearthed last May along the Savannah River in Allendale County, South Carolina by University of South Carolina Professor Albert Goodyear indicate that the sediments that indicate that the sediments containing these artifacts are at least 50,000 years old, meaning that humans inhabited North America long before the last ice age. Humans inhabited North America long before the last ice age. Now, when I say this, now this is before Native Americans come into existence. And I have to say this with a caveat because a lot of times many African Americans get confused. This does not mean slavery did not take place. Okay, it just means that we were in this land for tens of thousands of years before slavery happened. This is why we have to understand the chronology of history. And we look at numerous archaeological evidence, numerous archaeological discoveries that have happened in the past, going back the past 15 years or so. And we see discoveries here in this land that push the Clovis culture theory that in New Mexico, the Clovis culture theory that the earliest known evidence of Homo sapiens in this land is about 15,000 years ago. No, we were here long before that. And this is why when we have Black History Month, African American History Month, we have to deal with history prior to 1619, even in this land. Now, when we look at the Khoisan, an October 2012 genetic study published in Science magazine found that the Khoisan in Southern Africa are the oldest ethnic group of modern humans, with their ancestral line originating about 100,000 years ago. The Khoisan, formerly called by the derogatory term Bushmen, are genetically unique and no other currently known population had generated so early, had separated so early from our common modern human ancestor, according to the report. The Khoisan live in mainly southern Africa in territories spanning Botswana, Namibia, Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. They are largely divided into two groups: hunters and gatherers, the Sans people, and keepers of livestock, the Khoi. The Khoisan languages include the distinctive click sounds that are not found in the languages of their neighbors. Now, one of the things we look at in the class, even before we get to the transatlantic slave trade, we look at different archaeological discoveries that are causing the scientists to push the timelines back and understand that all this, all these civilizations, things like this, many of them are much older than we thought. But we also look at the film Black Panther, okay? Because the film Black Panther, we look at different elements of the film Black Panther. The film Black Panther ties into African history. And I've done numerous lectures dealing with the film Black Panther. There's a I read over 100 articles dealing with the film Black Panther in the comic book in preparation for my lectures. I have one lecture that's about a 3-hour presentation dealing with the film of Black Panther analysis, African history, culture, and Afrofuturism. And there are 11 different African cultures that we see represented in the film Black Panther. Ruth Carter, the costume designer, spent 6 months studying African cultures, and she infused all this into the film, okay? But when we look at, one of the things we do is we look at different Neteru, different deities coming out of ancient Kemet. The Panther deity Bast, Bast, who watches over the people of Wakanda, that comes from Bastet, who was actually a deity in ancient Kemet, a Neter for singular, Neteru for plural. Bastet was an ancient Egyptian goddess worshipped in the form of a lioness and later a cat, goddess of warfare in Lower Egypt or Kemet. Kemet meaning the land of the blacks, one of the original names for Egypt. Worshipped as early as the Second Dynasty, about 2890 BCE, before the Common Era. When we look at the religions of Wakanda, okay, we see that the religion of the Wakandan people first developed during the pilgrimage to the land in their conflict with what were known as the originators. The gods of Wakanda formed from the heroes of humans within the tribe. Ascending to the status of a god or deity, these heroes became known as the Orisha. And we know the Orisha is the name of the deities in Ifa, which is the spiritual system of the Yoruba of Nigeria, the Orisha. Taking the names Koku, Thoth, Bast, Mujaji, Ptah, and Niami. We know Thoth and Bast and Ptah come straight out of ancient Kemet. The Orisha's origins date back to the ancient Egyptian beings known as the Ennead. Now, this is straight out the Black Panther comic book. And I had to read a book that dealt with the 52-year history of the Black Panther comic book before I even started doing my lectures on Black Panther, to really understand this, because some of the characters and themes and storylines, etc., from the comic book we see represented in the film, but we see variations, because in the comic book, Killmonger is 100% Wakandan, whereas in the film he's half Wakandan, half African American. That wasn't the case in the comic book. He's 100% Wakandan in the comic book. And Wakanda is made up of a group of, it's a nation made up of 18 different tribes. So it's not like everybody's a member of the Panther tribe, because you saw at the beginning of the film, we saw T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, who is fighting with M'Baku of the Jabari tribe, and M'Baku is challenging uh, T'Challa to sit on the throne of Wakanda. And where they have the ritual combat is called Warrior Falls. Okay, Warrior Falls. That's the waterfall. That's where they have the ritual combat in Wakanda to see who is going to sit on the throne. That comes straight out the Black Panther comic book. Warrior Falls. Okay, so I had to research all this to be able to do my lectures on Black Panther. So we deal with some of this in the class because this ties into African history and culture. So when we look at, for instance, in addition to the development of these deities, the people of Wakanda became segmented into various cults that worship various animal deities, animal gods of the area. And you see this represented in ancient Kemet, where you see different deities that take on the qualities or powers of animals because they saw animals as part of nature, and they understood that these various animals possessed gifts that were given to them by God. So they appreciated the gifts that God gave those animals. So you may see Heru has the head of a falcon, and a falcon has keen eyesight. So they're appreciating the gift that the creator gave the animal. They're not worshiping a falcon, so to speak. Or when you see the judgment scene, and coming out of mythology, coming out of spiritual systems in ancient Kemet, when you die, your heart is weighed against the feather of a woman, against the feather of Ma'at. And okay, this is the short one. If we get the long version with a Sar sitting on the throne of judgment. So Ma'at is the personification of truth, justice, righteousness, balance, harmony, order, and reciprocity. Ma'at was depicted as a woman, as a winged deity. Okay, and the 42 admonitions of Ma'at, or 42 laws of Ma'at, are a precursor to the 10 commandments. But Ma'at is the personification of truth, justice, righteousness, balance, harmony, order, and reciprocity. And when you died, your heart was weighed on the scales of Ma'at, and your heart was weighed against the feather of Ma'at. So your heart is weighed against the essence of a woman, the feather of Ma'at. So if you lived your life correctly based upon the 42 negative confessions or 42 admonitions of Ma'at, okay, your heart would be lighter than the feather, and you would go into the afterlife. And when you look at the depiction here, you see, and we can go to the widescreen one with the wider shot with Asar sitting on the throne of judgment over to the right. But you see in the middle the scales of Ma'at, and you see the jackal-headed deity Anpu, or who the Greeks called Anubis, and the jackal is a canine. The jackal has a keen sense of discernment. So we know canines have heightened senses of taste and heightened senses of smell, much more keen than humans. So it's Anpu who does the very delicate work, the precision of balancing the scales, because it requires judgment, discernment, a keen sense of discernment, which is something that the jackal has, which is a gift given by the creator. So they incorporate into the deities nature because they see that's a representation of the creator, and they appreciate the gifts that God gave to the animals. They're not worshiping a dog. They appreciate the gift that God gave the dog or the jackal. So this is part of African culture. We see this, and then now take it to another step. When you look at Yeshua, or who in English, they call Jesus because the letter J didn't exist until 1630 AD. I may say some things that are outside the circumference of your own awareness, but just because you disagree with them or don't like them does not mean they're not true. Just means you have to do some research to understand what I'm talking about. Some pictures or paintings, because they didn't have photographs back then. Some paintings or depictions you see of Yeshua, Jesus has a dove over his head. And then you deal with Osset, who gave birth to Heru on December 25th of a virgin birth. And Heru was known as the Ka-Rest. And from Ka-Rest, you get the Greek Christos. From that, you get Christ. Christ is a title, not a name, referring to anointed or anointed one. And Ka-Rest means rising of the spirit. Ka meaning spirit, rest meaning to rise. We see a retelling of these various concepts and ancient stories over thousands of years, adapted to various people's cultures with their ethnicity and their names on it, things like this, and their cultural, it goes through their cultural paradigm. So we go throughout history and look at everything from we look at a timeline of history, and we look at everything from Saint Nicholas, Bishop Nicholas, who was African. A lot of your early Christian saints were African saints, or Africans, then canonized as saints. And then you get from Bishop Nicholas, you get Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas in Dutch means Saint Nicholas, and Sinterklaas had a sidekick named Zwarte Piet, Black Pete, and that's in reference to the Moors and the Moors being conquered, the African Moors being conquered. And there's a parade that takes place, there's a celebration that takes place throughout the Netherlands in November up until December 5th, which is celebrating Black Pete and the return of Black Pete, Zwarte Piet, and Sinterklaas. From Sinterklaas, who wore red and white, he was a religious figure. From Sinterklaas, you get the secular figure of Santa Claus, wearing red and white. And the concept of the jolly fellow Santa Claus, the concept that our first concept really of the fat jolly fellow Santa Claus and the red and white outfit, things like this, that comes from the cartoonist Thomas Nast, N-A-S-T, Thomas Nast. But we go throughout history and we look at the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. We look at different civilizations, whether we talk about ancient Nubia, Ta-Nehisi, whether we deal with Carthage, Great Zimbabwe, Carthage. We deal with Hannibal Barca in the Battle of Cannae, 216 BC. We look at the Punic Wars. Okay, go throughout history. We deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, and how the Moors are taking the teachings from ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt into Europe. And this is going to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages. We look at Tariq ibn Ziyad, 711 AD. Tariq goes from Morocco into the Iberian Peninsula, today known as Spain and Portugal, and where he lands is a rock promontory that they call Jebel Tariq or Tariq's Mountain. You know it as Gibraltar, or the Rock of Gibraltar, named after African man, Tariq ibn Ziyad. And then we look at Christopher Columbus and how Columbus helps lay the foundation for slavery and racism, capitalism, and exploitation of indigenous people, things like this. Columbus really helps the transatlantic slave trade to spread, and Columbus set sail August 3rd, 1492 on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. And that's late in the same year that the Moors lose control of their last stronghold in Europe, which is Granada. We look at things like this here, the national flags of Corsica and Sardinia. Corsica, a French island in the Mediterranean, Sardinia, an Italian island in the Mediterranean, and they have African Moors heads on their national flags because the Moors were in those areas, and it took a monumental effort to conquer those Moors. Originally, now you see them wearing a bandana. So if you see the Hidden Colors documentaries, on the cover of Hidden Colors, the logo is the African Moor's head, and you see the bandana. This is where that comes from. It comes from these national flags. So, and then you see them with the hoop earrings also, especially the one here from Corsica. And when you study the celebration of Zwarte Piet in the Netherlands, you see that they have the they show them wearing afro wigs and gold hoop earrings also. Look at this one here. It was probably you can't see it here, but when you study Zwarte Piet, you'll see this. You'll see that they are wearing the gold hoop earrings also. Okay, and they're imitating the Moors. Here's a depiction of them, and they're on a steamboat. They're on a boat, and according to the Zwarte Piet was introduced in the children's book in 1850. And according to the mythology, he comes from Spain to the Netherlands in November, and they have these parades and things like this in the celebration up until December 5th. So why do they have the black Moors, Zwarte Piet, coming from Spain? Because that's where the Moors go into Europe, Spain and Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula. And you see these Europeans here wearing blackface, afro wigs, things like this, red lipstick. So each year there's a bigger effort. There's more and more protests against these celebrations because they're dehumanizing African people, making fun of the Moors. They're racist. All right. So we look at the Black Death, bubonic plague. Europe loses between a quarter to a third of the population from 1347 to 1400. We look at the three great West African kingdoms of Ghana, Songhai, and Mali. These are some actual slides from the class. There are over 200 slides that I put all these slides together, by the way, myself. So over 200 slides we're using in the class. It's over 50 articles. We have book references. You don't have to buy any of these books to follow along in class. We deal with Columbus and where Columbus went on his 4 voyages. Contrary to popular belief, Christopher Columbus never came to the land that we call the United States of America. The closest he came here was Cuba, which is 90 miles away. It was 216 BC, the Battle of Cannae, Matthew. So Columbus never came to the land that we call the United States of America. The closest he came here was Cuba, which is 90 miles away. But Columbus is also going to lead to the Asiento. Columbus and his 4 voyages, and then Bartholomew de las Casas, the Bishop Bartholomew de las Casas traveling along with Columbus on his 4 voyages, and Columbus and de las Casas petitioning the Pope to only enslave African people. He said that the Native Americans had suffered enough, and they were trying to save the Native American souls. They were being decimated. Bartholomew de las Casas estimates that Columbus was responsible for the murder of 12 million to 25 million indigenous people. Why on earth you have people that still want to celebrate Christopher Columbus? I have no idea. You might as well celebrate Adolf Hitler if you celebrate Christopher Columbus. I'm just saying. No, he did not. He didn't discover a damn thing. There was already Africans and Native Americans where he was. Okay, he helps to laid the foundation for slavery, racism, capitalism, and the exploitation of indigenous people. I mean, if you celebrate Columbus, I have to question, like, okay, what is it that you're celebrating? I mean, have you studied the history? Have you even read the books that Bartolome de las Casas wrote? Because de las Casas kept a diary. He traveled with Columbus on some of Columbus's voyages. He kept a diary of what happened and the atrocities inflicted upon the indigenous people. He wrote at least 2 books that I know of, because I read his books back in college, the Tears of the Indians, and there's another book by Bartolome de las Casas. Why on earth you want to celebrate something like that? I don't understand that. But oftentimes, Europeans honor mass murderers. Same thing with the history of St. Patrick. Patrick, the British slave Patrick, who became a bishop, that and it was canonized as a saint, that he was a mass murderer. He killed thousands of Druids in Ireland. He was a mass murderer also. They said, why are people celebrating St. Patrick's? I'm like, see, first thing we should do before we celebrate any of these European holidays is read African People and European Holidays and Mental Genocide by Dr. Shaka Musa Barashango. Or you can just go to history.com. You can read some of the history of these holidays, things like this. I've studied the history of all the holidays. That's why I don't celebrate any of them. Okay. You know, Mother's Day and Father's Day is cool. I understand that. But Christmas, Valentine's Day, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, things like this. It's okay to get together with family on those holidays, people off work and things. I understand that. But we need to study the history behind these holidays that we've been taught to celebrate. So if you do choose to celebrate them, at least you know the history of what it is that you're celebrating. At least you know the history of what it is that you're celebrating, and it will probably influence or cause you to change how you celebrate it, how you participate in it. For most of the stuff, we were really never taught the history behind these different holidays. We would just, our parents taught us, the grandparents taught us, celebrated, we taught in schools, things like this. Most of them didn't know the history behind it. Most of them were never taught the history behind it. So at least we should study the history behind these holidays that we have been taught to celebrate. So if you choose to continue to celebrate it, one, you know what it is you're participating in. 1, 2, you know, because you know, your thoughts create feelings, your feelings create actions and behaviors, your actions and behaviors create results. It'll probably change the level or how you participate in that holiday if you decide to keep celebrating it. This is why you see me post when St. Patrick's Day comes around. If you wear green on St. Patrick's Day, will you wear red, black, and green on African Liberation Day, May 25th? If you wear green on St. Patrick's Day, will you wear red, black, and green on African Liberation Day? Because I see African Americans wear green on St. Patrick's Day. They can't tell you like who Patrick was besides, okay, he was a saint. They really don't know about the history behind St. Patrick's Day, what he did. Oh, he drove the snakes out of Ireland. There's no evidence snakes were ever in Ireland because Ireland is an island in a cold climate, and snakes live in warmer climates. There's no evidence there were ever snakes in Ireland back in 5th century AD, Common Era. Okay, so these are some of the things we do, and we go throughout thousands of years of history. We try to go through this history chronologically as much as possible. Some of the timeline of history we look at, 419, Prince Henry the Navigator of Portugal begins sending expeditions to explore the West African coast. In 1444, Portugal starts to buy African slaves from from West Africa and establishes the first leg of the triangular trade. 1452, Dum Diversas, the doctrine of discovery. 1455, papal bull. The Pope addresses Spain and Portugal and tells them to stop fighting amongst yourselves. I order you to reduce to servitude all infidel people. 1482, Christopher Columbus is involved in the African slave trade. This is 10 years before he sets sail on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. We know the Moors lose control of Grenada, January 2nd, 1492. 1452, Pope Nicholas V issued a papal bull entitled Dum Diversas, which authorized Alfonso V of Portugal to conquer the Saracens, the Muslims and pagans, in a disputed territory in Africa and consign them to perpetual servitude. This is the doctrine of discovery, 1452. It has been argued that this and the subsequent papal bull of Romanus Pontifex, issued by Pope Nicholas V in 1455 Common Era AD, gave the Portuguese the rights to acquire African slaves along the African coast by force or trade. The edicts are thus seen as having facilitated the Portuguese slave trade from West Africa and as having legitimatized the European colonization of the African continent, because the Portuguese are the first ones involved in the transatlantic slave trade, right about 1441, 1444. The Spanish are right behind them. Okay. What is a papal bull? A papal bull is in Roman Catholicism is an official papal letter or document, a papal letter or document. The name is derived from the lead seal, bulla, B-U-L-L-A, traditionally affixed to such documents. Since the 12th century Common Era AD, it has designated a letter from the Pope carrying a bulla that shows the heads of the apostles Peter and Paul on one side and the Pope's signature on the other. Okay, a papal bull. Okay, so this is just a brief sample of the type of information that we deal with in this class. We're on live, Leonard. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in schools. Now, I've been teaching this class on and off since 2017. It's grown by leaps and bounds since I first taught it. This is a 10-week online course. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. So I teach this on Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can, we'll post a link here. You can register for this class at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. I'll post a link here again also so you can register for it. As soon as you register, you can watch last week's class. There's, we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. And we have a bundle pack where you can register for both classes. The one on Sunday, the one on Saturday, and the one on Sunday. You can register for both classes for only $100. Okay. We have people listening across the country, Leonardton, Phoenix, from Detroit. All right. On Sundays, I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So this second class basically picks up where the first class leaves off. You can watch them in any order. You can take them in any order. But it has so much information for the second, for history from, like, say, 1803 to 1968. It has so much information. And it's such a critical period of history, we need to go through and really analyze it more in depth. And so I had to create this second class. In each class, you go through and analyze about a 10, 15, 20-year period of history to better understand what happened to us after slavery ended and understand what led to the Civil War taking place. So we started in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase, and we deal with the Haitian Revolution, which is connected to the Louisiana Purchase. It helps. Is one of the causes of the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, and France sells 828,000 square miles of land for less than 3 cents an acre. Land that they have here in the U.S., they sell that to the United States for about $15 million. So that class is 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. also. As soon as you register, you can watch the classes we did last weekend. And we have a bundle pack where you can register for both classes for $100. And the classes are regularly $130 each. Okay. We have a bundle pack. You get both. You can register for both classes for $100. Even after the 10-week online course is over with, you still have access to the full course. You can go back and watch everything. Okay. As much as you want to. So a year from now, you can go back and watch the entire class. And if you've taken any of my online classes with me in the past, going back to 2017, email me at TheAHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. TheAHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You'll get 50% off on the classes and the bundle pack also. Okay. All right. So this is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We posted a link so you can register for the bundle. You can use this information with your children as well. I would say the content is PG-13. I don't do a lot of cursing. It's not crazy. It's not vulgar, things like that. I don't do that. But it's very visual. And, your children will learn a lot also. All right. Look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, you focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Thanks for supporting us for 12 years. If you want to support us through Cash App or PayPal, you can do so. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. And we have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. For those that tuned in late, today is our 12th year anniversary. My 12th year anniversary of broadcasting the African History Network show started on March 10th, 2010. Okay, so it's been 12 years. And we have the information here. So this is our official Cash App account, $ the AHN Show, SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael and shows my picture there. These other ones here are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. I did not set those up. Okay, and we have the link here and the PayPal donate button. So I'm still trying to get those fake ones shut down. All right, so we have to get out of here. I'll be on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Download the Black Star Media app to your smartphones, to your Roku device. Follow Roland on Facebook and YouTube, Roland Martin on Facebook and YouTube. You can watch the show there as well and on the Black Star Media app. And we'll talk about it on Sunday's show. This is 12th year anniversary. I started out on the Harambe Radio Network in 2010 and with the Blog Talk Radio. And we still upload our audio podcast to our Blog Talk Radio show also. Okay. So we have over 1,000 episodes of the show. When you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and click on listen to podcasts, it takes you to our Blog Talk Radio show. And we have over 1,000 podcasts going back to 2010 archived there. Okay, I've got, and I have some, the oldest podcast we had I have there goes back to July of 2010, but I have some even before then. I just have to find them. They're archived somewhere. I have some before then from because I remember one of my first interview, my very first interview, my first guest, March 10th, was Dr. Leonard Jeffries, my teacher, one of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries. He was my first guest, but I had Dr. Jose Pimenta Bay in 2010. He was one of my very first interviews. Professor Kabahaya Watha Kamene, who was Booker T. Coleman back then, was one of my early interviews in 2010 also. One of my teachers, Professor Kaba. All right, so it's been busy 12 years. It's going by quickly. Okay. Okay, guys, look, we have to get out of here. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.